In this tutorial, we're going to talk about the difference between a relative cell reference and an absolute cell reference. Let's assume that Bob's used car sales would like to pay a commission to its sales representatives. So basically we have our totals here in column E, and we have our commission rate down in B11. So if we think a little bit about the formula that would need to go into our spreadsheet to calculate the commission, we would start our formula with the equal sign. All formulas start with equal. We could click on B3 to select, E3 to select the cell, and we would multiply that times the commission rate, which is in B11. I could hit the enter key, and we would look at the commission for the first row, or row 3, $20,000 commission. Then we could come over and use our fill handle, and we could fill handle down to copy and paste our formula. And when we do that, we look at it and logically think, well, okay, what's going on here? In E4, shouldn't Jim also earn a commission? And in F5, shouldn't Gary also earn a commission? And so what we need to do is go back and look at our formulas. Now our first one, let me look up here in the formula bar, we took E3 times B11. I come down here and I look at E4. Now that took it times B12, which there's nothing in B12, so that's why we're getting, basically the negative sign indicates 0. And if I click on the next cell, I have E5, which is what I would want to go to the next row in the spreadsheet, but that's being multiplied times B13. So what we would need to do to make a correction to this, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to delete the formulas that we had there, and I'm going to start all over again. I'm going to type an equal sign, and I'm going to click on E3. Now when you look at E3 in the formula bar, that's written as a relative cell reference, and relative cell references change. They move to the next cell based on whichever way you're using your fill handle. So if I filled down like I did previously, it would go to E4, which is what I want to take place. I'm going to multiply again. I'm going to come down and I'm going to click on B11. And B11 right now is written as a relative cell reference. Now what I need to do is I need to write B11 as an absolute cell reference. Absolute cell references stay fixed, or they stay absolute. They stay in the same location when you use your fill handle. Now we indicate an absolute cell reference by adding dollar signs to the cell reference. So I can come up in my formula bar and I could type $, and then I'm going to move my insertion point over, a $B, $11. So the first cell is referenced as a relative cell reference. The second cell is referenced as an absolute cell reference. Now I physically type the dollar signs. You can use your F4 key, and I'll just demonstrate that. I'll come back here. I'm going to take that out, click on B11, and then if I press my F4 key, it automatically inserts the dollar signs for me. So it's just a different way of changing a relative cell reference to an absolute cell reference. I'll hit my enter key. I'm going to go back. I'm going to use my fill handle, because I wouldn't want to type the formula over and over again. I realize this spreadsheet is quite small. There's only 3 formulas that I would need to type, but if I had a big spreadsheet, we want to look at saving time. So writing your formula in a correct format is what we need to do. Now if I click on F4, notice the cell reference did change to E4, but B11 is stayed in B11. It didn't change to the next cell. And I go to the last one, and basically I have the same thing. E5 times B11. So just again in the tutorial, we had an overview of writing formulas using relative cell references. Relative cell references change when you use your fill handle, and we also used absolute cell references. Absolute cell references indicated with $sign before the column and before the row in the cell reference. And when we use our fill handle to copy and paste those formulas, they stay in the same location as we use the fill handle. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add some commonly used functions to a spreadsheet. Let's assume that we have 3 people who have been selling cars for Bob's Used Car Sales. They've sold cars in January, February, and March, and we want to look at the totals for their sales. We want to look at who had the highest sales, who had the lowest sales, and who had the average sales for the months of January, February, and March. There's a variety of ways to add functions to a spreadsheet. I'm going to just show you using the home ribbon. Quick and easy way to do that. I can come up here, click on the auto sum button. I can actually click it twice, and it will put the correct function into the spreadsheet for me. I can come over then and put my mouse over the black box in the lower right hand corner, and that's called the fill handle, and I can basically copy and paste the formula to the next cells. So if I click on C6, you'll notice in the formula bar the reference change. That's called a relative cell reference. When you use your fill handle, relative cell references change. So it went to C3 to C5. Come over here and you'll see we've got D3 to D5. I can come then to B7, can come up here on the home ribbon, click on the drop down arrow, and the function that we use for finding the highest is the max function. Now you'll note when I pressed on that function, or clicked on that function, that Excel assumes that I want to include B3 through B6, that particular range. I would not want to include B6 in that range, so I'm going to click and drag through the range that I want to have selected or be part of the function. I'm going to hit my enter key. I can come back up then, and like I did before, I could use the fill handle, and I could fill handle over to copy and paste that same function. Instead of, repeating the function over and over again, you can use the fill handle to save you a little bit of time. You can go to B8 then, again going up and using the home ribbon as a quick and easy way to put the function in. I'm going to use the min function for the lowest. Again, you'll notice that it goes up through the range, assumes that we want B6 and B8, which I do not want to include. So I'm going to click and drag through B3 through B5 and hit my enter key. We'll come back, mouse over the black box, the fill handle, and I'll fill handle over. And because each of these are relative cell references change, then the formula will change as I go from column to column. The last function for this tutorial, I'm going to use the average function. Come up here to the drop down arrow next to the auto sum. Going to click on average, and again goes up through the columns. So the important thing is when you're using the functions to make sure that you are checking your range to make sure that it is getting the correct range. I'm going to click and drag through B3 through B5, hit the enter key, and then I'm going to fill handle over so that I've averaged. And you want to think a little bit about the formula that's going in there. When you use the average function, basically what's happening, it's adding B3, B4, and B5 together, and it's dividing by the total number of cells, which would be 3. It's a quick and easy way to put the average in. I could come over here to the right, and I might want to total each row in this particular spreadsheet. Quick and easy way to do that is to highlight all the cells, click the auto sum button on the home ribbon, and it does them all automatically. So just again in the tutorial we did the total, or the auto sum, the max, the min, and the average, all using the home ribbon as a quick and easy way to add those commonly used functions.